A multimillionaire CEO abandoned a $2.4 billion empire to scrub floors in a Boston hospital. And the reason will shatter everything you thought you knew about love. The scent hits first, industrial disinfectant mixed with something beneath it, something human and raw that no chemical can erase. Benjamin Hartley's hands, once accustomed to Italian leather and fountain pens that cost more than most people's monthly rent, now grip a mop handle worn smooth by years of other people's labor. The hallway of Boston General's third floor stretches before him, under flickering fluorescent lights. And somewhere in the distance, a heart monitor beeps its monotonous prayer. He dips the mop into gray water, watches it darken further, and thinks about how quickly an empire can become a memory. You missed a spot. Ben looks up. She's leaning against the nurse's station, arms crossed, dark hair pulled back in a ponytail that's coming loose after what must have been a 12-hour shift. Charlotte Sullivan, night shift nurse. The woman who doesn't know that 6 months ago, he was being photographed for the cover of Forbes. The woman who definitely doesn't know that he bought this hospital 3 weeks ago through a shell corporation, just so he could work here, just so he could be near her. Where? He asks, playing the part. She points with her pen, not at the floor, but at him. Your face. You've got that look again. Like you're solving world hunger instead of mopping up cafeteria spills. There it is. That edge in her voice, sharp enough to cut through his carefully constructed disguise. Charlotte Sullivan doesn't do deference, doesn't do awe. She looks at him the way she'd look at anyone, with a mix of exhaustion, dark humor, and something that might be kindness if you caught her in the right light. Just wondering if this is what they mean by honest work, Ben says, and he means it more than she could possibly know. Charlotte snorts. Honest work is what pays the rent when your student loans are the size of a mortgage and your mom's medical bills keep coming. This? She gestures at the mop, the hallway, the whole antiseptic world they're standing in. This is just survival with extra steps. She walks away before he can respond, sneakers squeaking on the linoleum he just cleaned. Ben watches her go, watches the way her shoulders carry weight that has nothing to do with physical exhaustion, and feels something crack open in his chest. Something that's been sealed shut since the day his father told him that Hartley men don't feel, they acquire. The thing is, Benjamin Hartley has spent 34 years acquiring. Hartley Industries, 17 subsidiaries, a penthouse in Back Bay with windows that overlook the Charles River, a Patek Philippe that cost more than Charlotte probably makes in a year. And somewhere along the way, in boardrooms that smell like ambition and leather, he forgot what it felt like to be seen. Not photographed, not profiled, not analyzed by shareholders, seen. It happened 4 months ago. He was touring Boston General as part of a potential acquisition. Silk tie, tailored suit, the whole performance of power. And there she was, telling a dying man's daughter that grief doesn't have a timeline, that love doesn't stop just because the heart does. Her voice carrying a tenderness that made something in Ben's chest ache with recognition. She glanced at him once. This woman in scrubs covered in someone else's suffering, and her eyes held no admiration. Just a flicker of something that might have been pity. For him. Benjamin Hartley, who had everything, and she looked at him like he was the one who needed saving. He couldn't stop thinking about it, about her, about the way she moved through the world like someone who understood that wealth isn't measured in stock options. He started coming back, not as a CEO, but as a ghost, watching from hospital cafeterias, reading her personnel file, hating himself for the invasion, unable to stop, learning that Charlotte Sullivan works 60-hour weeks to pay for her mother's long-term care facility, that she has a degree in literature she'll never use, that she takes the night shift because it pays more and requires less small talk, that she's alone in a way that has nothing to do with being single. 2 months ago, he made a decision that his CFO called financial suicide, and his father called a breakdown masquerading as philanthropy. He stepped down, transferred operational control, kept enough equity to maintain influence, but surrendered the title, the office, the performance of being Benjamin Hartley, CEO. And then he became Ben. Just Ben. He applied for a janitorial position using his middle name and a resume that listed every manual labor job he'd worked during college summers, the parts of his life his father had called character building, before erasing them from the official biography. To his surprise, they hired him. To his greater surprise, he showed up. That was 6 weeks ago. Charlotte passes him again, this time carrying a tray of medications. She pauses. "You coming to Sully's tomorrow night?" Sully's? The bar, South Boston, where normal humans decompress after shifts that make them question their life choices. She raises an eyebrow. "Or are you too good for dive bars, Ben?" There's a challenge in her voice, a test. Charlotte Sullivan is testing him, and she doesn't even know what she's testing for. "I'll be there," he says. She studies him for a moment longer than necessary, and Ben feels exposed in a way that has nothing to do with his hidden identity, and everything to do with the way her gaze seems to inventory his soul. "Good," she finally says. "You need friends. You've got that look." "What look?" "Like you're running from something." She walks away, leaving the words hanging in the disinfectant-scented air. Everyone who ends up here is running from something. Ben returns to his mop, to his water that's gone cold, to his empire of linoleum and fluorescent lights. Outside the hospital windows, Boston spreads out in November darkness. The city where he was born into privilege, where his name opens doors and closes others, where he learned to perform power so well he forgot it wasn't real. And somewhere in this building, Charlotte Sullivan is checking vitals and holding hands and bearing witness to the fact that everyone, eventually, becomes equal in the face of suffering. He thinks about tomorrow night, about Sully's bar in Southie, about sitting next to her without the weight of his name, his wealth, his carefully constructed identity, about what it might feel like to be seen. But before we step deeper into this memory, tell me in the comments, where in the world are you listening from? Like this video so this story reaches more hearts, and subscribe to follow the next journeys that prove love isn't about what we have, but about who we're brave enough to become. The mop moves across the floor in steady strokes, and Benjamin Hartley, who once commanded empires, finds strange peace in the rhythm of honest work. Even if the honesty is built on a lie. Even if Charlotte Sullivan would never look at him the same way if she knew the truth. Even if he's starting to suspect that the empire he abandoned might have been the smaller sacrifice. Sully's bar smells like spilled beer, fried food, and decades of working-class dreams that either came true or learned to settle. The wood is dark, scarred by initials carved with pocket knives and house keys, and a Dropkick Murphys song plays from speakers that have seen better decades. Ben arrives at 7:30, still wearing his hospital janitor uniform because he doesn't own anything else anymore. Not here, not in the small apartment he rented in Dorchester under his middle name, where the radiator clanks like it's arguing with itself, and the neighbors yell at the Bruins game through paper-thin walls. Charlotte is already there, sitting at the bar between two other nurses he recognizes from the hospital. She's changed into jeans and a flannel shirt that's too big for her, sleeves rolled up to her elbows, and she's laughing at something the bartender said. A real laugh, not the careful professional warmth she uses at work. It transforms her face, makes her look younger, and Ben feels something tighten in his chest that has no name in any language he learned at Harvard Business School. "Ben!" She waves him over, and the casual confidence in the gesture nearly undoes him. This is Maria and Dev. They're the ones who keep that place running while the doctors take credit. Maria, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes, shakes his hand. "You're the new janitor, the one who actually cleans." As opposed to? As opposed to the last guy, who mostly just moved dirt around and hit on the nursing students. Dev says, signaling the bartender. What are you drinking? Whatever's cheap. Charlotte snorts. He fits right in. The bartender, a man with a thick Boston accent and a Sullivan's Pub t-shirt that's seen too many washings, slides a Narragansett across the bar. Ben catches it, takes a sip, and tries not to think about the fact that the last beer he drank cost $40 at a rooftop bar in Manhattan where they served it in hand-blown glassware. This tastes better. So what's your story? Maria asks, the question casual but weighted. Nobody takes a hospital janitor job in Boston unless they're working their way through something. Or working their way toward something, Charlotte adds, those sharp eyes fixed on him. Which is it, Ben? He takes another sip, buying time. The truth is impossible. I abandoned a fortune because I watched you comfort a dying man's daughter and realized I'd never comforted anyone in my life. Just needed a change. From what? Corporate work. The kind where you forget what daylight looks like. Charlotte nods slowly, like she's filing this information away. Let me guess. Finance? Too close. Consulting. God, that's worse. She raises her beer in mock sympathy. No wonder you looked like a kicked puppy your first week. Going from a suit to a mop is quite the downgrade. Is it, though? The words come out before he can stop them, raw and more honest than Benjamin Hartley has been in years. The consulting job paid more, but this feels like it matters. The conversation at the bar pauses. Maria and Dev exchange glances. Charlotte stares at him like he just spoke a foreign language. Jesus, you really did have a breakdown, didn't you? But there's no mockery in her voice, just something that might be understanding. Welcome to the club. We've got jackets. Do the jackets come with health care? Barely. She grins, and it's the first time he's seen her smile without the armor of sarcasm. But the existential dread is complimentary. They talk for hours. About the hospital, about Boston, about nothing and everything. Dev tells a story about a patient who tried to smuggle their cat into the ICU. Maria complains about her daughter's upcoming wedding and the price of flowers. Charlotte mostly listens, throwing in one-liners that land like precision strikes, but Ben notices the way she deflects any question that gets too personal, the way she changes the subject whenever the conversation turns to family. Around 10, Maria and Dev leave for the last train to Quincy. The bar thins out to regulars nursing whiskeys and watching the Celtics game with religious intensity. Charlotte orders another beer, and Ben does the same. And suddenly they're alone in a crowd, the noise of the bar becoming a kind of privacy. Can I ask you something? Charlotte says, not looking at him, her finger tracing patterns in the condensation on her glass. Why did you really take that job? Ben considers lying. He's good at it, spent years crafting narratives for investors, for the press, for his father. But something about the way Charlotte asks, like she already knows he's hiding something, and is giving him the chance to stop, makes him want to try the truth. At least a version of it. I was tired of being someone I didn't recognize in the mirror. She nods, still not looking at him. And do you? Recognize yourself now. Getting there. Good. She finally meets his eyes, and the moment stretches longer than it should, charged with something neither of them names. Because the fake version, everyone can see through it. You're not as good an actor as you think. His heart stops. What do you mean? I mean you clean like someone who's never cleaned before. You talk like someone who read about blue-collar work in a book, and you've got hands that have never seen a callus until recently. She reaches out, quick as a snake strike, and grabs his right hand, turning it palm up. Her thumb traces the soft flesh at the base of his fingers. These are healing blisters, fresh ones. You're not running from corporate work, Ben. You're running from something bigger. He should pull away, should deflect, lie, perform the role he's been playing. Instead, he lets her hold his hand, lets her read his secrets in the damaged skin, and says, "Maybe I'm running toward something." Charlotte's eyes search his face, looking for the con, the angle, the hidden agenda. Whatever she finds, or doesn't find, makes her release his hand slowly, like she's not sure she should. "Everyone who works at that hospital is broken in some way," she says quietly. "We're all refugees from lives that didn't work out, but at least we're honest about it. And you think I'm not? I think you're trying to be." She finishes her beer, sets it down with a soft thunk. "I also think whatever you're running from is going to catch up eventually. They always do. Is that what happened to you?" The shutters come down behind her eyes, instant and absolute. "I'm not the one pretending to be someone else." "Aren't you?" He doesn't know where the courage comes from, but suddenly it's there, the question hanging between them. The Charlotte who makes jokes in the hallway, and the Charlotte who held that dying man's hand and told him it was okay to let go, those aren't the same person. So which one is real? For a moment, he thinks she's going to leave. Walk out of the bar and leave him sitting here with his expensive lies and his cheap beer. Instead, she does something worse. She tells the truth. "My mom has early onset Alzheimer's. She's 56 and doesn't remember my name most days. I work 60 hours a week to pay for a care facility where they treat her like a human being instead of a problem to be managed. I haven't been on a date in 3 years because who the hell wants to deal with that? And the Charlotte who makes jokes?" Her voice cracks, just barely. She's the only version that gets through the shift without breaking. The Celtics game roars in the background. Someone feeds the jukebox, and Springsteen starts singing about dreams in the New Jersey night. Ben sits with Charlotte's confession between them, understanding that she's just handed him something she doesn't give away easily. "My father has never told me he loves me," Ben says, the words coming from a place he didn't know still existed. "Not once. He taught me how to read a balance sheet when I was 8, and how to fire someone when I was 16. I learned that love is weakness, and vulnerability is failure, and I believed it until..." He stops. Too much. Too close to the edge of his real identity. "Until," Charlotte prompts, and there's something in her voice now. Something tentative and careful, like she's reaching across a distance neither of them can quite see. "Until I realized I'd spent my whole life in rooms full of people and never felt less alone." Charlotte holds his gaze, and Ben sees the exact moment she decides to believe him. Not all of it, not the complete truth, but enough. Enough to let her guard slip another inch. "You want to know something pathetic?" she asks. "Yes. Sometimes I go to the ICU on my days off, not to work, just to sit in the waiting room, because at least there, everyone's too worried about their own people to notice I'm alone." Ben wants to tell her she's not alone, wants to reach across the space between them and take her hand the way she took his. Instead, he says, "That's not pathetic. That's human." "Is there a difference?" "I don't know. I'm still learning." They sit in silence, but it's not empty anymore. It's the kind of quiet that holds weight, that means something. Outside, Boston winter starts to assert itself, the first real cold snap of November, and through the window, Ben watches the streetlights make halos in the gathering frost. "I should go," Charlotte says, but she doesn't move. "Yeah," Ben agrees, not moving either. She stands finally, pulling on a jacket that's seen better winters, and Ben notices for the first time how thin it is, how inadequate for the cold that's coming. Tomorrow, he thinks, he'll have his assistant. No, he doesn't have an assistant anymore. He doesn't have the ability to simply fix things with money. He has a janitor's salary, and the knowledge that Charlotte Sullivan would never accept his help even if he offered it. "Ben?" She pauses at the door, looking back. "Whatever you're running from, I hope you outrun it. You seem like you might be worth saving." She's gone before he can respond, the door closing on a gust of November wind that smells like snow and possibility. Ben sits at the bar, his beer getting warm, his hands still carrying the ghost feeling of her touch. The bartender wipes down the counter and gives him a knowing look that needs no translation. "That one's trouble," he says. "I know. The good kind or the bad kind?" Ben thinks about Charlotte Sullivan, her armor and her wounds, her sarcasm and her tenderness, the way she moves through the world like someone who learned to expect nothing and still somehow finds reasons to care. "I don't know yet," he admits. "Maybe both." He pays his tab with crumpled bills from his janitor's paycheck and walks out into Boston cold that bites through his thin jacket. The T rattles past on elevated tracks, and somewhere in the distance, a siren wails its lonely song. He thinks about his penthouse in Back Bay, sitting empty except for furniture that cost more than most people's cars. He thinks about the life he abandoned and the one he's trying to build from scratch, mop by mop, honest moment by honest moment. And he thinks about Charlotte Sullivan, who looked at him like he was worth saving, who held his hand and read his secrets in healing blisters, who told him the truth because he'd earned it. Benjamin Hartley, who once commanded boardrooms and built empires, walks home to his Dorchester apartment where the heat barely works and the neighbors fight at 2 a.m, and feels something he hasn't felt in years. Hope. The lie grows heavier with every passing day. Ben learns the rhythm of hospital nights, the way the fluorescent lights hum a different frequency at 3 a.m, how the smell of disinfectant can't quite mask the metallic tang of fear that clings to the ICU waiting room, the specific squeak Charlotte's sneakers make when she's running to a code blue. He learns to read her moods by the set of her shoulders. Tight and high means a patient died on her watch. Relaxed and loose means someone got to go home. Somewhere in between means she's just surviving another shift in a system designed to break people who care too much. He's mopping the 4th floor hallway when she finds him on a Tuesday night, 3 weeks after Sully's. She looks wrecked. Hair falling out of its ponytail, scrubs wrinkled, eyes carrying that particular exhaustion that has nothing to do with physical tiredness and everything to do with witnessing too much human suffering in too short a time. "Got a minute?" she asks, and there's something fragile in her voice that makes him abandon the mop immediately. Always. But she leads him to the hospital chapel, a small room that smells like furniture polish and desperate prayers, with wooden pews and a non-denominational altar that tries to comfort everyone and probably comforts no one. Charlotte sits in the back row, and Ben sits beside her, close enough that their shoulders almost touch. "Lost one tonight," she says, staring straight ahead at the altar. 7-year-old girl. Leukemia. We knew it was coming, but that doesn't make it hurt less. Her mom asked me to stay while... Her voice cracks. While she held her daughter and sang "You Are My Sunshine." Do you know that song? Yes. I hate that song now. I'll hate it for the rest of my life. She wipes at her eyes with the back of her hand, angry at the tears. "Sorry, you don't need to hear this. I don't even know why I came looking for you." But Ben knows. She came looking for him because somewhere in the past 3 weeks, between shared breaks in the cafeteria and conversations that started about nothing and ended up meaning everything, they'd become something. Not quite friends, not quite more, but something that defied the careful categories Charlotte uses to keep herself safe. "I'm glad you did," he says quietly. "Come looking for me." She turns to look at him then, really look at him, and Ben feels exposed in a way that has nothing to do with his hidden identity. "Why are you here, Ben? And don't give me that corporate burnout bullshit. Nobody abandons a good salary to mop floors unless they're searching for something or punishing themselves for something." Which is it? The question sits between them like a live wire. Ben could deflect, should deflect. Instead, he tells her a truth that's nested inside the larger lie. I spent years becoming someone I thought I was supposed to be. And then one day I looked around at everything I'd built and realized I'd constructed a very expensive prison. He pauses, choosing words carefully. I saw someone, at this hospital actually, who moved through the world with this kind of radical honesty. Like they'd decided that pretending was more exhausting than just being real, even when real was messy and painful. And I thought, what would it be like to live like that? Charlotte studies his face, and he can see her working through the implications, trying to decide if he's talking about her. And is it what you thought it would be? Harder, better, more frightening. He meets her eyes. More worth it. She's quiet for a long moment, and in that silence, Ben becomes aware of how close they are, how the small chapel seems to have shrunk around them, how he can smell her shampoo, something cheap and floral that probably came from CVS, and how that scent is already embedded in his memory in a way that his ex-fiancée's expensive perfume never was. I'm not good at this, Charlotte says finally, at letting people in. I learned a long time ago that everyone leaves eventually. My dad left when I was 12. My mom is leaving piece by piece, memory by memory. The few friends I had got tired of me always canceling plans because of work or because mom had a bad day. So I stopped trying. It's easier that way. Is it? Easier? No. The admission seems to cost her something. But at least I know what to expect. Ben wants to tell her that he's different, that he won't leave, that he sees her in a way no one else does. But he can't make those promises. Not when his entire presence in her life is built on deception. Not when she's looking at Ben the janitor and falling for someone who doesn't technically exist. What if I told you I'm terrified right now? He says instead. Of what? Of this. Of you. Of the fact that 3 months ago I didn't know you existed. And now the best part of my day is hoping I'll run into you in the hallway. Charlotte's breath catches. He hears it, sees the way her eyes widen just slightly, the way her careful armor cracks. Ben, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know that you're not alone in being scared. She reaches out then, her hand finding his on the wooden pew between them. And the touch is electric. Not in the manufactured way of romantic comedies, but in the real way of two people who've been alone for too long, suddenly finding connection. Her fingers are cold, and he can feel the slight tremor in them, the vulnerability she's offering. I don't even know you, she whispers, but she doesn't pull away. Yes, you do. This... He gestures at himself, at the janitor's uniform, at the man sitting in a hospital chapel at 4 a.m. This is the most honest I've been in my entire life. And it is. That's the cruelest part. Benjamin Hartley, Billionaire CEO, was a performance. Ben, the janitor who mops floors and listens to Charlotte talk about her dying patients and her disappearing mother, is real in a way that terrifies him. I need to tell you something, Charlotte says, her voice barely audible, about why I'm the way I am. You don't have to. I want to. She takes a shaky breath. When my dad left, he told my mom she was too much work, that loving her was exhausting, and I watched her believe him, watched her shrink herself down, trying to be less, trying to be easier, and it still wasn't enough. He still left. Her grip on his hand tightens. So I promised myself I'd never do that, never make myself smaller for someone else. And that means sometimes I'm too much, too sharp, too guarded, too real, Ben finishes, too honest, too brave. She looks at him like he just told her the sky was green. You think I'm brave? Charlotte, you're the bravest person I've ever met. You show up every day to a job that breaks your heart. You carry your mother's disappearance like a weight you'll never put down. And you still find reasons to laugh. You still find ways to care. That's not too much. That's extraordinary. The tears come then, silent and devastating, tracking down her cheeks in the dim chapel light. Ben doesn't try to stop them, doesn't offer useless platitudes. He just holds her hand and bears witness, the way she's taught him through example. "I visited my mom yesterday," Charlotte says after a while, voice thick. "She thought I was her sister. Asked me if I'd seen her daughter Charlotte lately, said she hoped I was doing okay." She wipes at her face. "I sat there for 2 hours, and she never knew it was me. I'm sorry." The worst part? I felt relieved, because if she doesn't remember me, then I can't disappoint her, can't fail her, can't be too much work. Ben turns toward her fully, his free hand reaching up to her face, hesitating just before touching her cheek. "Charlotte, look at me." She does, and he sees all of her, the armor and the wounds, the strength and the fragility, the woman who makes jokes to survive and cries in empty chapels when she thinks no one will see. "You are not too much," he says, every word deliberate. "You have never been too much, and anyone who made you feel that way was a coward who couldn't handle what you were offering." Something shifts in her expression, a kind of tentative hope that looks painful, like she wants to believe him but doesn't quite dare. "How do you do that?" "Do what?" "Say exactly the thing I need to hear, like you've known me for years instead of weeks." "Because I have watched you," he doesn't say. "Because I have studied the way you move through the world like you're reading a sacred text. Because I abandoned everything I had to be near you, and that should terrify me, but instead it feels like the first sane decision I've ever made." "Maybe I'm just paying attention," he says instead. Charlotte laughs, soft and sad and real. That's a dangerous habit, Ben Hartley. His full name on her lips makes his heart stutter. She doesn't know that it's real, doesn't know that Benjamin Hartley is splashed across financial websites, and that his father is probably having him declared mentally incompetent while his lawyers try to undo his resignation. She just knows Ben, the janitor with the soft hands and the secrets, and she's choosing to trust him anyway. He should tell her. Right now. Right here in this chapel where Charlotte just handed him her most painful truths. He should confess everything. The money, the deception, the reason he's really here. But then she leans forward, just slightly, and rests her forehead against his shoulder. And the moment becomes something else entirely. Something sacred and fragile. Her breath is warm against his collarbone, and she's shaking slightly. Or maybe he is. Or maybe they both are. Two people who've been alone for so long that contact feels like a foreign language they're trying to remember. "Thank you," she whispers against his shoulder, "for not running away when I'm like this." "Like what? Human?" She pulls back, and there are still tears on her face. But she's smiling, small and genuine and devastating. "Yeah, that." They sit in the chapel for another 20 minutes, not talking, just existing in each other's proximity. The hospital sounds filter through the door, beeping machines, rolling gurneys, the endless mechanical symphony of life being monitored and measured and sometimes saved. Eventually, Charlotte's pager goes off, pulling her back to the world of work and necessity. She stands, smooths down her scrubs, rebuilds her armor piece by piece. But before she leaves, she turns back to him. "Ben? That thing you said about the best part of your day?" "Yeah?" "Same." She's gone before he can respond, the chapel door closing with a soft click that sounds like a promise and a warning all at once. Ben sits alone in the dim light, his hand still warm where she held it, and realizes he's in far deeper than he ever intended. He came to Boston to understand what it meant to be seen. He's learning it means being vulnerable, being honest, being present in a way that doesn't allow for exit strategies or contingency plans. He's learning it means falling in love with Charlotte Sullivan, who would hate him if she knew the truth. And he's learning that some lies, no matter how well-intentioned, eventually become unbearable. The truth comes for him on a Thursday afternoon, delivered by a man in a $3,000 suit. Ben is cleaning the main lobby, a job he's learned to time for maximum invisibility, when visitors are scarce and the hospital exists in that strange afternoon lull between lunch and dinner shifts. He's pushing the industrial buffer across marble floors when he sees him. Marcus Webb, Hartley Industries' chief legal counsel, standing near the information desk like a predator in expensive wool. Their eyes meet across 50 feet of polished stone. Ben's heart stops. He should have known this was coming. You don't walk away from a billion-dollar empire without someone eventually tracking you down. He abandons the buffer and heads for the service elevator. But Marcus is faster, intercepting him near the stairwell with the kind of smooth precision that comes from years of corporate warfare. "Benjamin, we need to talk." "Not here." "Then where? Your penthouse?" "Oh, wait, you abandoned that too." Marcus's voice is cold, surgical. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Your father had a stroke last week. Mild, but enough. The board is in chaos. Our stock dropped 14% because the CEO vanished like he's in witness protection." The words hit like physical blows. His father. A stroke. Ben feels the floor tilt beneath him. "Is he? He's fine. Furious, but fine. He wants you back. The board wants you back. I'm authorized to offer whatever you need. Therapy, sabbatical, a corner office with a better view. Name it." "I can't. Can't or won't." Marcus steps closer, voice dropping. "What the hell are you doing here, Ben? Playing janitor? This isn't a gap year or a spiritual journey. This is corporate abandonment. You have responsibilities. People who depend on you." "People who depend on the money, you mean?" Isn't that the same thing? The question hangs between them, and Ben doesn't have an answer that Marcus would understand. How do you explain to someone who measures worth in quarterly earnings that you found something more valuable mopping hospital floors? That you met someone who looks at you like you're human instead of a revenue stream? "Give me 2 weeks," Ben says finally. "Tell my father I'm alive, I'm safe, and I'll call him. But I need 2 weeks." Marcus studies him with the calculating gaze of a man who's watched Benjamin Hartley grow up in boardrooms. There's someone, isn't there? That's what this is about. Ben doesn't answer, which is answer enough. Jesus Christ. Marcus actually laughs, bitter and sharp. "You walked away from Hartley Industries for a woman? Do you have any idea how pathetic that sounds? Get out." "Ben," I said, "get out. Tell my father whatever you want. I'll deal with the consequences, but leave, now." Marcus leaves, but the damage is done. Ben stands in the stairwell, his hands shaking, the careful world he's built over 3 months cracking like ice in spring. Because Marcus is right about one thing. This can't last. Eventually, Charlotte will find out. Eventually, the truth will burn through his careful deception and destroy whatever fragile thing they've built together. He should leave. Walk away now, before she gets hurt. Before he hurts her worse. Instead, he finds her. Charlotte is in the staff break room, eating vending machine crackers and scrolling through her phone with the exhausted focus of someone trying to distract themselves from their own thoughts. She looks up when he enters, and her expression immediately shifts to concern. "Hey, you look like hell. What happened?" "I need to tell you something." The words come out wrong. Too heavy, too loaded. Charlotte sets down her phone, her entire body tensing. "Okay, that's terrifying. Should I be worried?" "Yes," he thinks. "You should run. I haven't been completely honest with you." She stands slowly, arms crossing over her chest. Defensive posture, armor going up. "About what?" "About who I was, before here." Ben's mouth is dry, his heart hammering. I told you I worked in consulting, and that's technically true, but it's not the whole truth. His pager goes off. Charlotte's goes off. Every pager in the hospital seems to go off simultaneously, the emergency code blaring through the PA system. Code red, 4th floor, code red. Fire. Charlotte is already moving, years of training overriding everything else. We have to go. Patients on that floor can't evacuate themselves. Charlotte, wait. Not now, Ben. Whatever you need to tell me can wait. People can't. She's gone, running toward the emergency, and Ben is left standing in the break room with his half-confession hanging in the air like smoke. He follows, because what else can he do? The 4th floor is chaos, fire alarms screaming, smoke beginning to pour from a utility closet, nurses and orderlies moving with controlled urgency to evacuate patients who are connected to machines that keep them alive. Ben finds Charlotte in a patient room, disconnecting an elderly man from his monitors with swift, practiced movements. Help me, she orders, and he does, supporting the man's weight as they navigate toward the stairwell through smoke that's getting thicker by the second. They make 3 trips. 4, 5. Ben loses count, loses track of everything except Charlotte's voice cutting through the chaos, directing traffic, keeping people calm, being exactly who she always is, someone who shows up when things are falling apart. The fire department arrives. The smoke clears. No one dies, which feels like a miracle. Afterward, they stand in the parking lot with 24 other hospital staff, covered in soot and exhaustion, watching firefighters confirm the blaze is out. It started in an electrical panel, they're told. Old wiring. Pure accident. Charlotte is shaking. Adrenaline crash. Ben recognizes it from his own body. He reaches for her hand, but she pulls away. You were about to tell me something, she says, voice flat. Before the fire. Something about not being honest. Charlotte. Are you married? Is that it? Running from a wife and kids? No, nothing like that. Then what? She turns to face him fully, and there's something in her eyes that looks like betrayal already forming. What have you been lying about, Ben? He should tell her. Right here, right now, with smoke still clinging to their clothes and the taste of fear in their mouths. Should rip off the bandage and let her hate him cleanly. But before he can find the words, her phone rings. She glances at the screen, and her face goes white. It's the care facility, she whispers. They only call when... She answers. Ben watches her face crumble as she listens, watches her whole body seem to fold in on itself. When she hangs up, she's crying. My mom fell. She's at Mass General. They think she broke her hip. Charlotte looks at him with eyes that are drowning. I have to go. I have to. I'll drive you. You don't have to. Charlotte, let me help. She nods, too devastated to argue, and they run for his car. Not the Aston Martin that sits in climate-controlled storage, but the 15-year-old Honda he bought for $800 that barely starts in the cold. They drive through Boston traffic with Charlotte silent beside him, tears streaming down her face, and Ben realizes that whatever confession he was going to make will have to wait. Because right now, Charlotte needs him. Not Ben the janitor. Not Benjamin Hartley, billionaire. Just him. And maybe that's the only truth that matters. Margaret Sullivan doesn't recognize her daughter. Ben watches from the doorway of the Mass General Hospital room as Charlotte sits beside her mother's bed, holding a hand that doesn't squeeze back. Margaret is 56 but looks 70. Her face slack with confusion and medication. Her hip wrapped in surgical bandages from the emergency procedure that saved her mobility, but couldn't save her memory. Mom, it's me. It's Charlotte. Margaret blinks slowly, searching her daughter's face for recognition that won't come. Are you the nurse? I had a daughter named Charlotte. She was going to be a writer. Do you know her? Charlotte's face crumbles, and Ben sees her bite her lip hard enough to draw blood, holding back the grief that has nowhere to go. Yeah, Mom, I know her. She's doing okay. That's good. I worry about her. Ben steps into the hallway, giving Charlotte privacy for her heartbreak. He leans against the wall in the fluorescent-lit corridor and pulls out his phone. The burner he bought when he became Ben the janitor, not the iPhone that still sits in his penthouse connected to an empire. He has 17 missed calls from Marcus, 4 from his father's private number. The world he abandoned is screaming for him to return. He turns the phone off. An hour passes. 2. Charlotte emerges looking hollowed out, her eyes red-rimmed and distant. They're keeping her overnight for observation. I should stay. You've been awake for 22 hours. You need to eat something. Sleep. I can't just leave her. She's stable, and you're not. Ben keeps his voice gentle but firm. Charlotte, when's the last time you ate anything that wasn't from a vending machine? She thinks about it and can't answer, which is answer enough. They end up at a 24-hour diner in Alston, the kind of place where the coffee tastes like burnt hope and the pie is surprisingly good. Charlotte orders soup she doesn't touch. Ben orders pie he doesn't eat. They sit in a corner booth under light that makes everyone look sick, and neither speaks for a long time. I'm losing her twice, Charlotte finally says. Once to the disease, and once to the reality that she's already gone. And the worst part? I'm relieved sometimes. Relieved that I can visit and she doesn't ask why I'm not writing anymore, why I gave up on everything I wanted to keep her safe. She just thinks I'm a nice nurse who comes to chat. Why did you give up writing? Because writing doesn't pay for memory care facilities. Because dreams don't matter when your mom is disappearing. She laughs, bitter and broken. I had a scholarship to Columbia's MFA program. Full ride. I deferred it when she got diagnosed, thinking I'd just take a year. That was 8 years ago. Ben feels something crack in his chest. Charlotte, don't. Don't tell me it's not too late or that I can still pursue it. We both know that's bullshit. She finally meets his eyes. You were going to tell me something earlier, before the fire, about lying. Here it is, the moment he's been dreading and craving in equal measure. Ben takes a breath that feels like jumping off a cliff. My name is Benjamin Hartley. I'm the former CEO of Hartley Industries, a company worth about $2.4 billion. I didn't have a breakdown. I didn't run from corporate consulting. I walked away from an empire because 3 months ago, I watched you comfort a dying man's daughter, and I realized I'd spent my entire life acquiring things and never once being present for another human being. The words pour out, unstoppable now. I took this janitor job to be near you, to understand what it meant to live honestly, and somewhere along the way, I fell in love with you, and the lie became unbearable. Charlotte stares at him like he's speaking a language she doesn't understand. The silence stretches so long that Ben thinks she might not respond at all. Then she laughs. It's not a happy sound. It's the laugh of someone who's just confirmed their worst suspicions about the universe. You're a billionaire. I was. I gave up operational control. You're a billionaire who's been playing poor, and I've been... She stops, her face going through a rapid sequence of emotions. Confusion, anger, betrayal, and finally something that looks like grief. I told you about my mom, about my dad leaving, about feeling like I was too much. And the whole time, you were what? Conducting some kind of social experiment? No, God, no. Charlotte, everything I felt was real. Was it? She stands abruptly, the booth creaking. Because the man I was falling for doesn't exist. Ben the janitor, who understands what it's like to struggle, who gets why I work 60 hours a week. He's not real. He's just Benjamin Hartley playing dress-up. That's not fair. Fair? Her voice rises, and other diners turn to look. You want to talk about fair? I opened up to you. I let you see me at my most broken. And you were lying the entire time. I know. You're right. But Charlotte, please. The feelings were real. Everything between us was real. How can I believe anything you say? Tears are streaming down her face now, but her voice is steady, cold. You're a CEO. You're trained to make people believe whatever serves your interest. And I was stupid enough to fall for it. Ben reaches for her hand, but she jerks away like his touch burns. Don't. Just don't. Let me explain. Explain what? That you thought it would be romantic to cosplay as a janitor? That you were so bored with your billions that you decided to slum it with the working class? She grabs her jacket, her hands shaking. I trusted you. I don't trust anyone. And I trusted you. Charlotte, please. I love you. She stops at the door, her back to him. When she speaks, her voice is barely audible. The man I was falling for would never have lied to me. So whoever you love, it's not me. It's the character you needed me to be for your little transformation arc. She walks out into the Boston night, and Ben sits frozen in the booth, watching through the window as she disappears into the cold. The waitress brings the check. The coffee goes cold. Someone feeds the jukebox, and Tom Petty sings about free falling. Ben pulls out his phone, the real one, the one connected to his empire, and stares at his father's number. He could call, could return to the life he abandoned, could pretend the last 3 months were just a detour, a temporary insanity. Instead, he pays the check with crumpled bills from his janitor's paycheck and walks out into the same cold that swallowed Charlotte. The city sprawls before him, all lights and possibilities and doors that his name could open. But the only door he wants to open is the one Charlotte just slammed shut. And for the first time in his life, Benjamin Hartley doesn't have a strategy, doesn't have a plan, has nothing but the truth he should have told weeks ago, and the certainty that he's lost the only real thing he's ever had. Charlotte doesn't come to work for 3 days. Ben learns this from Maria, who tells him while he's mopping the ICU hallway on a Saturday night. She called in sick. First time in 5 years. Whatever you did, fix it. I don't know if I can. Then figure it out, because that girl doesn't let people in. And if you broke her, you don't get to just walk away. Ben spends those 3 days trying to find the words. He writes letters he doesn't send, practices speeches in his empty apartment, considers showing up at her door and decides that would be selfish. Charlotte asked for space, and the least he can do is respect that. On the 4th day, Marcus Webb calls. The board meeting is Tuesday. Your father is demanding your return. If you don't show, they're voting to remove you entirely from the company. You'll lose your equity, your voting rights, everything. Let them vote. Ben, don't be stupid. This is your legacy. No, it's my father's legacy. I'm building my own. He hangs up before Marcus can respond. Tuesday comes cold and brutal, the kind of Boston winter morning that hurts to breathe. Ben puts on the only suit he kept, charcoal gray, custom-tailored, a relic from his old life. He takes the T to downtown, walks into Hartley Industries' glass tower for the first time in 3 months, and feels like a ghost visiting his own funeral. The boardroom is exactly as he remembers. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Boston Harbor, a table that cost more than most people's houses, and 12 faces that measure worth exclusively in zeros. His father sits at the head of the table. Robert Hartley looks older. The stroke left his face slightly asymmetrical, his right hand trembling as he grips his pen. But his eyes are the same. Cold, calculating, disappointed. Benjamin, so you're alive. I'm alive. Care to explain where you've been? The room waits. Ben sees Marcus near the window, sees the board members with their tablets and their judgment, sees the empire he built reflected in glass and steel. "I was learning what it means to be human," Ben says simply. His father's laugh is sharp, cruel. "Spare us the philosophical nonsense. You abandoned your responsibilities. You've damaged this company's reputation and stock value. The board wants you removed, and frankly, I don't blame them." "Then remove me." Silence. His father's face darkens. "Excuse me?" "Remove me. Take my equity, my voting rights, my name off the building. I don't want it." Ben walks to the window, looks down at the city where Charlotte is somewhere living her life without him. "I spent 34 years building something I thought mattered, and then I met someone who showed me what actually matters. And it's not this. This is weakness," his father says, voice shaking with rage. "This is throwing away everything I built. That you built, not me, you." Ben turns to face the room. "I'm done performing for you, all of you. I'm done measuring my worth in quarterly earnings and market share. I'm done pretending that accumulating wealth is the same as accumulating a life." "There's a woman," his father says flatly. "This is about a woman." "Yes. And before you say I'm being pathetic, before you tell me I'm weak, you're right. I am weak. I'm terrified. I'm in love with someone who might never forgive me, and I destroyed the one real thing I've ever had because I was too much of a coward to be honest." Ben's voice cracks, and he doesn't try to hide it. "But I'd rather be weak and real than strong and empty." One of the board members, Patricia Chen, who's known him since he was a child, speaks up. "What do you want, Benjamin?" "I want to be removed from operational control. Keep my equity and trust. Use the dividends for employee healthcare expansion, wage increases, better benefits. I'll remain a silent partner, but I'm done leading. Let someone else have the title." He looks at his father. "Someone who actually wants it. And what will you do?" his father asks, contempt dripping from every word. "I'm going to get my janitor job back. I'm going to show up every day and do honest work. And I'm going to try to prove to the woman I love that I'm capable of being the man she deserves." "This is insanity." "No, Dad. Insanity is spending your whole life in boardrooms and dying without anyone at your bedside who's there because they love you, rather than because they're in your will." Ben's voice softens. "I don't want to die alone in a hospital where even the nurses don't know my first name." His father stares at him, and for a moment, just a moment, Ben sees something that might be understanding, or maybe just exhaustion. "You're serious about this?" "I've never been more serious about anything." The vote takes 10 minutes. It's unanimous. Benjamin Hartley is officially removed from all operational roles at Hartley Industries, his equity converted to a trust that will fund employee benefits, his corner office already being emptied by security. He walks out of the building feeling lighter than he has in years. The hospital is a 20-minute walk from the financial district. Ben doesn't take the tea. He walks, letting the cold air burn his lungs, still wearing his suit because he doesn't care anymore about appearances or performances. He finds Charlotte in the fourth-floor break room, eating her lunch alone. She looks up when he enters, and her face goes through a rapid evolution of emotions before settling on wary exhaustion. "I can't do this right now, Ben. I just walked away from $2.4 billion. The words come out rushed, desperate. "I went to the board meeting. I gave it all up. Not for you, I need you to understand that, but because of what you taught me. About honesty, about showing up, about being present." Charlotte sets down her sandwich slowly. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the fact that you were right. Ben the janitor was real, but he was incomplete. And Benjamin Hartley, the CEO, was a performance. But this?" He gestures at himself, at the expensive suit with hospital cafeteria coffee stains, at the man who just chose truth over empire. "This is me trying to be both, trying to be whole." "Ben." I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I broke your trust, and that might be irreparable. But I need you to know that loving you was the first real thing I've ever done. And whether or not you can forgive me, whether or not we can salvage this, I'm not going back. I'm staying here. I'm staying me. Charlotte's eyes are bright with tears she won't let fall. You gave up billions of dollars. I gave up pretending that money could fill the emptiness. He takes a step closer, cautious. Charlotte, I don't know how to fix this. I don't have a strategy or a 5-year plan. I just know that I love you, and I'm willing to spend however long it takes proving I'm worth a second chance. She stands, and for a terrifying moment, Ben thinks she's going to walk away. Instead, she closes the distance between them, her hand reaching up to touch his face. Gentle, tentative, like she's checking to make sure he's real. You're an idiot, she whispers. I know. A billionaire idiot who gave up everything for a night shift nurse with a dying mother and student loans. The best decision I ever made. Charlotte laughs, broken and wet and real. We're going to have to rebuild this, from the ground up. No lies, no performances, just truth, even when it's ugly. I can do truth. Can you? Because I'm a mess, Ben. My mom is dying. I work insane hours. I'm sharp and difficult, and I don't know how to let people take care of me. Good thing I'm just learning how to take care of anyone. He cups her face in his hands, thumbs wiping away tears. We can learn together. She kisses him then, fierce and salt-flavored and desperate. It's not a romance novel kiss. It's messy and tear-stained and tastes like coffee and forgiveness. It's real. When they break apart, Charlotte is smiling. You're staying? Really staying? I'm staying. Just Ben. The janitor who loves you. The janitor who used to be a billionaire. Does that matter? She considers this, her fingers tracing the line of his jaw. Ask me again in a year. Deal. Spring comes to Boston the way it always does, reluctant and stubborn, fighting winter for every degree of warmth. The magnolias on Commonwealth Avenue bloom pink and defiant, and the Charles River thaws into something that almost sparkles when the sun hits it right. Ben is mopping the main lobby when Charlotte finds him, 6 months after the boardroom confrontation that ended his old life and began this new one. She's wearing scrubs decorated with tiny cartoon stethoscopes, a gift from a pediatric patient's family, and her hair is pulled back in the messy ponytail he's learned means she's had a long shift but a good one. Your mom called, she says, and Ben's heart does its familiar stutter of anxiety. She wants to know if we're coming to dinner Sunday. My mom called you? Apparently we're friends now. She likes me better than you. Charlotte grins, and the expression still takes his breath away. The way she smiles now, open and unguarded, like she's stopped expecting the world to punish her for being happy. It took months to get here. Months of rebuilding trust in careful increments, of Charlotte setting boundaries and Ben respecting them, of learning to communicate without the armor they'd both worn for so long. There were setbacks, nights when Charlotte's walls went up and she pushed him away, mornings when Ben's old instincts kicked in and he tried to solve problems with money instead of presence. But they kept showing up, kept choosing honesty over comfort, vulnerability over safety. Ben's relationship with his father remains complicated, a work in progress measured in awkward monthly lunches where Robert Hartley still doesn't understand his son's choices, but has stopped openly condemning them. The stroke changed something in him, softened edges that Ben thought were permanent. Last week, his father asked about Charlotte. Actually asked, like he cared about the answer. Small miracles. How's your shift? Ben asks, abandoning the mop to pull Charlotte into his arms. She fits there now, like her body has learned the language of his, like they've become fluent in each other. Lost one, saved two. The usual balance. She rests her head against his chest, and he can feel her exhaustion in the weight of her. But there's something I need to tell you. His heart stops. Okay. Charlotte pulls back, her eyes bright with something that isn't quite fear, but isn't quite hope either. I applied to Columbia's MFA program, the one I deferred 8 years ago. Ben's breath catches. Charlotte, I know it's crazy. I'm 32 years old. I have responsibilities. My mom needs me. But I was thinking about what you said, about not letting fear make all my decisions. And I thought, what if I tried? Her voice wavers. What if I tried just once to choose something I want instead of something I need? What about your mom? The trust you set up covers her care. Better than what I was paying for, actually. And it's not charity. You made sure I understood that. It's just making sure she's taken care of so I can breathe. Charlotte's eyes fill with tears. I got in, Ben. Full scholarship plus a stipend. They said my application essay was the best they'd read in 5 years. Ben lifts her off the ground, spinning her in the middle of the hospital lobby while 2 orderlies applaud and a security guard tells them to keep it down. He doesn't care. Charlotte is laughing, pure and joyful and free. And the sound is worth more than every dollar he ever accumulated. I'm so proud of you, he whispers into her hair. So goddamn proud. I'm terrified. Good. That means it matters. They stand in the lobby, holding each other while the hospital moves around them in its endless rhythm of crisis and recovery, of endings and beginnings. Ben thinks about the man he was a year ago, the CEO in the expensive suit who measured worth in acquisitions and thought love was a weakness to be managed. That man was a stranger. This man, the janitor with Charlotte in his arms, with calluses on his hands and a future that looks nothing like the one he planned. This man is real. Ben. Charlotte pulls back to look at him. What are you thinking? I'm thinking about that first night at Sully's. When you told me everyone who works here is running from something. I remember. I'm not running anymore. Charlotte's smile is soft, knowing. Neither am I. That evening, they visit Margaret at the care facility. She's having a good day, the kind where she remembers Charlotte's name and asks about her life with genuine interest. Ben sits in the corner while Charlotte tells her mother about Columbia, about writing, about the dreams she's kept alive despite everything. Margaret reaches for her daughter's hand. I'm proud of you, Charlie. Your father would be too. It's a lie. Margaret doesn't remember Charlotte's father leaving, doesn't remember the abandonment that shaped her daughter's understanding of love. But Charlotte takes the gift anyway, squeezes her mother's hand, and lets herself believe in revised histories. Later, in Ben's apartment in Dorchester, the same cramped space with the argumentative radiator and paper-thin walls, they sit on the worn couch and plan futures that feel impossible and inevitable all at once. What happens when you're famous? Ben asks, only half joking. When your novel wins the Pulitzer and you're too good for a janitor boyfriend? Charlotte snorts. Please. You own like 15% of a multi-billion-dollar company. You're the world's richest janitor. I prefer philanthropically inclined custodian. She kisses him, slow and deep, and when she pulls away, her expression is serious. Ben Hartley, I don't care if you're a janitor or a CEO or a professional dog walker. I care that you show up, that you're honest, that you let me see you, really see you, even when it's ugly, even when I'm terrified, especially then. Outside, Boston settles into spring twilight. Somewhere in this city, Robert Hartley sits in his empty mansion and wonders where he went wrong. Somewhere, Marcus Webb files paperwork that officially severs Benjamin Hartley from operational control of the empire that bore his name. Somewhere, the wheels of commerce and ambition keep turning, indifferent to the small human dramas that give them meaning. But here, in a cramped apartment that smells like cheap coffee and possibility, two people who learn to stop performing and start living hold each other like they're the only solid things in an uncertain world. Because maybe they are. Ben thinks about the question Charlotte asked him months ago in that hospital chapel. Do you recognize yourself now? He does. Finally, completely, he does. Not Benjamin Hartley, CEO. Not Ben the janitor. Just Ben, flawed and honest, terrified and brave, learning that love isn't about grand gestures or billion-dollar sacrifices. It's about showing up, being present, choosing truth even when it costs everything. It's about finding someone who looks at you and sees not what you have or what you can provide, but who you are when all the performances fall away. Charlotte falls asleep against his shoulder, her breath evening out into the rhythm of trust. Ben stays awake, watching spring darkness claim the city, and thinks about a Forbes article he read once that said the measure of success is what you're willing to sacrifice for it. He gave up an empire. He gained everything. In the end, this story isn't really about a billionaire who became a janitor, or even about a nurse who learned to dream again. It's about the courage to stop performing the life you think you're supposed to want, and start building the life that makes you feel alive. It's about understanding that wealth isn't counted in bank accounts, but in the moments when someone sees you, really sees you, and chooses to stay anyway. Love isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to be honest when lying would be easier, to show up when running would be safer, to choose presence over perfection, vulnerability over control. Benjamin Hartley walked away from $2.4 billion because he finally understood what his father never did, that you can own everything and still have nothing, that the only empire worth building is the one where you're brave enough to be seen. If this journey moved you, if it reminded you that the most valuable things in life can't be acquired, only earned through the terrifying work of being real, leave your rating from 0 to 10 in the comments. And if you believe some stories don't just entertain but challenge us to examine what we're sacrificing in the name of success, what walls we've built that keep out the very connection we're searching for, subscribe for the next journey. Because the truth is, we're all performing some version of ourselves. We're all running from something or toward something. And maybe the bravest thing we can do is stop long enough to ask, who am I when no one's watching? And is that person someone I'd want to know? Charlotte and Ben found their answer. What's yours?